Are you ready to learn some new and interesting ways of utilizing inexpensive terracotta pots? The great thing about these is not only are they inexpensive, but they are also readily available at your local department stores, farm stores, craft stores, and even Dollar Tree. Hi everyone, my name is Shannon and I want to welcome you here to my channel, The Daily DIYer. I also want to thank Policy Genius for sponsoring today's video. So yes, last year this time I showed you 10 fun ways of using terracotta pots. If you missed that video, I'll link it at the end of this one so you can go watch that next. But today I have some brand new, fun, and easy ideas. Now let's jump right into the very first project. First, we're gonna make some terracotta candles, and these are gonna be great for indoors and for outdoors. First, you'll need one of these glass candles in a jar from Dollar Tree paired with a terracotta pot from Dollar Tree. They come 2 in a pack and they're about 3.5 inches tall. I'm also gonna be using these wood wicks that I've had for a while that I wanted to go ahead and use for these because I love them. I'll make sure to link them down in the description box below. You can find them on Amazon, but if you don't wanna do that, I have another alternative, so stay tuned for that. We're gonna go ahead and close up the hole in the bottom of the pot with some tape and then insert our wick into the bottom using some super glue to hold it down. The key here is to make sure you get your wick centered and also level. That way when the candle is finished, it'll be nice and centered. Now we're gonna move into the kitchen and turn our stove onto medium heat. We'll sit a large pot of water on the stove and go ahead and insert your candles at this point. Let them come to temperature as your water begins to boil. And then you'll see here over about a 15-minute time span, our wax in the candles melts completely. And here's the trick. You can actually remove the wicks from the candles once they're melted and use these inside your terracotta pots too if you'd like. This is a freebie way of reusing these candles. I just really love the wood wicks, so using what I had on hand, but these work as well too. And you can save them for other projects as well. At this point, we can go ahead and very carefully, disclaimer here, you don't want to burn yourself. This wax is obviously super duper hot. You'll just simply pour those right into your terracotta pots and save those glass jars because obviously now we can craft with those too. Now this part is optional since I'm going to be using these outside. I'm going to go ahead and add some bug repellent essential oils in there. Peppermint, lemon, and citronella are all 3 great bug repellent scents, so I added citronella to both of them, about 10 drops each, and then lemon to one and peppermint to the other just to give them a little bit of a variation in scent. Mix that around, let those sit up for a couple hours, and you can see that at that point then the wax sits up and hardens and you can go ahead and trim your wick down. I will say I didn't trim this down quite enough. I would get a little bit closer to your wax. You can also put it on a terracotta saucer pot so that way it kind of has a nice little presentation and you can go ahead and use your candles at this point. You can see here this is a pretty big flame, which is why I suggest cutting your wicks down a little bit shorter. You can see the wood wick definitely gives it a different look. It kind of has a crackling effect and it gives you a bigger flame too, which I just love. And again, you can scent these however you want, use them indoors or out. Thank you so much again to Policy Genius for sponsoring today's video. I have to tell you our own personal story where they came in so handy. We live in a historic part of our town. Our house is over 100 years old, and actually the house next to us and 2 doors down the other way, their sewer pipes collapsed recently. That prompted us to look into our own homeowner's policy, which we quickly realized was not going to cover this problem if we had it happen to our home too. This led us into reshopping for new homeowners insurance. You can also bundle your home and auto insurance with Policy Genius, which will save you even more money, which then you can put towards your next auto, home, or DIY project. Policy Genius is your one-stop shop to find and buy insurance that you need, and getting started is easy. First, head to policygenius.com/TheDailyDIYer and answer a few quick questions about yourself and your property. Policy Genius will show you price estimates of policies that fit your needs and help you find the best option. Their team of experts will look for ways to save you more, especially when you bundle home and auto policies. The Policy Genius team works for you, not the insurance companies. If they find a better rate than what you're paying now, they'll switch you over for free. Policy Genius has saved customers an average of $1,250 per year over what they were paying for home and auto insurance. Head to policygenius.com/TheDailyDIYer to get your free home and auto insurance quote and see how much you can save. Now let's make some chic candlesticks. We're gonna start with these wooden ones that I found at Hobby Lobby. Can you believe they were only $2.49 each? Also a small saucer, 2 of those actually, and some double-sided tape. This is gonna make this project quick, easy, and mess-free. So we're gonna take that double-sided tape and put it onto the bottom of our wooden candlestick. You can see this gets pressed down firmly, and then you remove that orange plastic on the top, and that reveals the double-sided stickiness that you'll then attach onto the saucer that you flipped upside down. You can see instant bond, no mess, quick and easy. We're now going to cut down the next strip and attach that onto the top of our wooden candlestick, and again attach the other saucer onto the top. And it really is just that easy to create your own custom candlesticks, but what's really gonna take this to the next level and make these really come together is the paint. So I wanted these to have a chic look, so I'm using a matte black chalk paint. This really just brings the whole look together. I paired them with some Dollar Tree pillar candles, and they just look gorgeous sitting on one of my shelves. Next up, we're gonna make some flower pot bread. So yes, I am big time stepping out of my comfort zone, as crafting is more my thing versus baking, but it did turn out really, really good, so I'm excited to share this with you. You're gonna need 2 terracotta pots, about 4.5 inches. Of course, you can see these are from Hobby Lobby. They were only $1.37 each. First step is seasoning these before we can actually bake in them. So of course you want to wash these out really well with soap and water, rinse them off really well, let them dry, and then we're going to take them over to the oven and season them. This original recipe is from a blog called wonderlandofwords.com, and I'll make sure to link it down below too. And to season these pots, you'll take some vegetable oil on a paper towel, and you will rub the inside and the outside of these pots. You'll set your oven to 375 degrees. Place the pots in the oven for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you'll pull them out, season them with the vegetable oil again, place them back in the oven a second time for 10 more minutes, and then they are ready to go. And here's after they're finished being seasoned. All the pores are filled, which will keep the ingredients from seeping into the terracotta and also make it easier for you to remove the bread once it's finished. Now onto the recipe. We're gonna add 1/3 cup of warm water to 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. We're gonna stir that together and let it sit for 10 minutes until it's bubbly. Now we need to mix in our dry ingredients. Start with 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Mix in 1/4 cup of instant potato flakes, 1/4 cup of sugar, and also 1 teaspoon of salt. And now in a separate bowl, we are going to mix our wet ingredients. So we're going to start with that yeast mixture that's been sitting for 10 minutes, nice and bubbly now. We're going to add that into a separate bowl. And I did make sure to scrape the edges. We want to make sure all that yeast mixture has been transferred. Then we're going to take a large egg that we've beaten, and we're going to add that to the mixture. Also, we're going to add our milk, which is 1/3 cup. And we're also gonna add 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Then go ahead and mix these ingredients together really, really well before then incorporating your dry ingredients into the wet ingredients, slowly adding these until they're all mixed together. Now, I do not have a KitchenAid mixer, so I'm going to be doing this the old-fashioned way and kneading this by hand, but you can also use a KitchenAid mixer if you have one of those too. Basically, the steps are the same. You will just put yours in the mixer with your kneading tool on it, but if you don't, like I don't, then you'll add some flour onto your countertop and then just knead this by hand for about 10 minutes. If you're needing a good arm workout, this is where it's at, all while multitasking and being able to create your dinner at the same time, or a side dish for your dinner. At this point, we're going to take our vegetable oil, brush some onto the bowl, and on both sides of our dough, making sure to get the underside too. And we're gonna put some saran wrap over this bowl and let this sit for about an hour and a half so it can rise. You'll want to put this in a warm place to rise, and my oven was a little bit warm still, so that's where I sat mine. After an hour and a half, when you come back, it will look like this. It will have risen. What you'll do is you'll then remove the top, punch down right in the center of your dough to release those gases, gather it up, and then you'll want to break this in half, making enough for each one of your flower pots. But before we add them to the flower pots, we're gonna roll these in some flour, just kind of creating a nice ball, and then you can go ahead and set it down into your flower pot. Do that with both of them. I put these on a baking sheet, covered them with a clean towel, and again, let them rise for another hour and a half. And this is what they'll look like after that time has gone by. We're now gonna take one egg white and we're gonna mix it with 1 teaspoon of sugar. Make sure to mix these up together really well with a fork, and then you'll come in and you will brush the tops of your dough before putting them in the oven. I moved my oven rack all the way down to the bottom before placing the flower pots on the baking sheet inside my oven. You'll set this on 350 degrees and you'll let these bake for 30 minutes. And don't these just look amazing and delicious? I am no baker by any means, but I have to say I'm pretty proud of myself for not burning this and them actually coming out edible. So like I said, if I can do this, anybody can do this. It is so incredibly delicious, and it makes 2 pots of bread. So you can make 1 for today and have 1 for tomorrow. You'll have to let me know down in the comments below if this is a recipe you have ever made before, or if maybe I've given you the itch to try it. This is going to be something I probably won't do super duper often, but it was so delicious. I definitely will be doing it again in the future. Now back to the crafty side of hacking these terracotta pots. We're going to pair a Dollar Tree pot and also one of their plastic bubble terrariums. Painting our terracotta pot first, whatever color you want. I'm obsessed with this color all of a sudden. It's called Moss by Waverly. You can get it at Walmart. It's just a pretty sort of springy summer on-trend color, so I feel like I've been painting everything with this color lately, and no exception to this. So I glued, just with some hot glue, the terrarium on a pot flipped upside down. We're going to remove the hanging part of this terrarium. It just screws right off, and we have a little hole on the top. So I wanted to use one of the sort of finials on the top to cover up that hole, so I painted that with the same green color. You can find these at Hobby Lobby too. If I can find a link, I will link it down below for you. Again, just hot gluing that right onto the top, and then you can add whatever you like into your terrarium. I had some of these white rocks from Dollar Tree, so I threw those in there with a plastic succulent from Dollar Tree. And if you wanted to do real succulents, you absolutely could do that in here too. So this is such a quick and easy DIY. I love the way this looks on this raised tray, and I think you could kind of create your own terrarium garden using different size pots to get different size heights too. This is a really nice and inexpensive gift idea. We're going to use another Dollar Tree pot and a small saucer. This is actually going to flip upside down onto the pot and become a lid. So I'm going to show you how to kind of create this in a couple different ways. We're also going to be pairing these with the same dowel caps from the last project with the terrarium. We're going to use that as a little stem. If you leave these terracotta pots the orangey color, they kind of look like pumpkins. So this is kind of a great idea for fall time, which is a little bit away, but keep this in your back pocket. It's super duper simple to wrap some Dollar Tree wire around a pencil to make a little curly cue. You just pull that right off your pencil and then twist it around the knob at the top. And then you can also use some ribbon or some jute or some fabric to create a really simple little leaf shape, and then twist that onto the wire too. And that's really going to give this sort of a pumpkin type look. Then you can add some little treats to the inside of these, whether it's candy, a gift card, a little toy, and it makes a cute, inexpensive, quick gift idea. Along those same lines, you can also paint these to look different with Teacher Appreciation Day and the end of school, or even if you need a quick teacher gift, you can paint these red and actually make them look more like an apple than a pumpkin, and I'll show you how to do that. Once you get this completely painted red, we're going to use the same finial cap and some of this wax, which you just rub onto the wood, and it gives it a stained look instead of a painted look. And then we can attach that onto the saucer again with some hot glue. And instead of creating a leaf, I'm using some green jute, which is also from Dollar Tree, just tying a little bow. So it kind of gives the effect of leaves, but it's super duper simple. Left the tails long. Again, you can add gifts to this or be cute on a desk. Now, my last terracotta pots video, I made the cutest little gnome, and I'll link that video at the end if you want to see how to create that. But I also had to put a fun little creature in this video too. So we're going to make a garden turtle. So we're going to start with this 6.5-inch size saucer and these itty bitty terracotta pots you can get from Dollar Tree, paired with this wooden knob from Hobby Lobby that was only $2.49. And we're going to make this turtle for outside. So I'm grabbing out my outdoor acrylic paint. I love this stuff. It's great. It holds up to weather and rain and all that kind of thing. And we're going to be using the sap green and the celery green. I found this paint on Amazon. I'll link it down below for you too. But the first thing we need to do is just paint all of these elements with that darker green color. To create the turtle shell on the back, we're going to take that celery green paint and start off right in the middle, creating a hexagon or a shape that has 6 sides, filling that in, and then we're going to work off of that, kind of working our way around this, creating those hexagons all the way around. That will fill in our turtle shell. So you can see we just kind of have a bullseye in the middle, work around the circle, and then work in between each one of those, creating more hexagons as we go until it's completely filled. This is after one coat. I did go back in with a smaller paintbrush and filled it in to get more of a solid looking celery color, but I actually really kind of like the distressed look too. It looks a little bit more realistic. So here's all of our pieces. We need to put these together. I'm going to be using that double-sided tape again like we did for the candlesticks. This stuff works for indoors and outdoors too. So this is also going to hold up long-term in the outside. So I'm adding those onto the bottoms of those mini terracotta pots. Those are going to be our turtle legs. And we're going to flip that saucer over, press those down firmly, and then we can also add a face to our turtle if you want. I thought mine kind of needed some eyeballs, so I'm using some white outdoor paint for that, and then also some black dots with a paint pen for this to give him some little eyeballs, just to give him a little bit more character, again with the double-sided tape to attach his head onto the body. I almost wish I would have used some larger terracotta pots for his feet so he'd stand up a little bit more, but this was just the cutest little guy. You can even use him as a little planter shelf and add a plant or flower on his back. Such a cute little addition to the garden. Now go ahead and click right here and head over to see even more fun and inexpensive ways to use terracotta pots. Please subscribe if you are new, and I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I will see you in the next one. Have a creative day.